So you're not leaving. All this talk about people leaving LA, you're here. You're invested.
No, we just got machine guns, so we're fine now. Just kidding. What's interesting is look, one, LA is such a magical place. No matter all of its current challenges, I do believe these are all fixable problems. Yeah. You know, things like crime and homelessness and the school systems. These are all, like, to me, low-hanging fruit problems that can be solved with just a little bit of common sense.
They're man-made problems, right?
Yeah.
Bad policy decisions.
Cash.
Ladies and gentlemen, group chat.
Cash.
It's $1 trillion. Hot.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Group Chat, the #1 podcast in the world. We are starting off today's episode with Sam Yebri, who is running for city council in Los Angeles in Council District 5, which turns out, we didn't even know what it was, is the most important district, I would argue, in the entire country. He's incredible. Really excited for you all to hear how he views the city and the opportunity to make, LA this, like, awesome place. And then we got news. We're talking big Elon. I'm excited because I'm about to get a blue check mark. Anand, you getting a blue check mark?
Absolutely.
Javier, you getting a blue check mark?
1,000%.
Ari, you getting a blue check mark?
Fuck yeah.
All right. We got $32 a month just out of us.
All different ages.
All different ages. We're all going to be swinging our blue check marks around, and exciting times for Twitter. And then we talk more business news. We're talking about the Federal Reserve meeting that's happening tomorrow. And then, unfortunately, some really sad news out of Houston with one of the stars of the Migos, Takeoff, and his passing. And then we end on some positive news, Taylor Swift and the record she's breaking. And then some scary shit at the end, but we'll talk about it when we get there. Let's get into it. All right, Kathys, we are 1 week out from Election Day all over the country. And I would say probably the most high-profile district in the country right now, because of the news mainly, is District 5 in Los Angeles, which is where our offices are, where we live. In fact, the current councilman office is 3 floors below us, Paul Koretz. And so today we have Sam Yebri joining us, who is running for the Council District number 5 councilman position. Welcome.
Hey, it's good to be here.
This is exciting because, one, we are very much in this community, like my kids go to school, I walk, I did, like we grew up in the Valley, like this is our, we're very much local people. And
our office has been here 10 years.
At least 10 years.
So you're invested.
And then I lived for 14 years down the street.
And so
you're not leaving. All this talk about people leaving LA, you're here. You're invested.
No, we just got machine guns, so we're fine now. Just kidding. But what's interesting is look, one, LA is such a magical place. No matter all of its current challenges, I do believe these are all fixable problems. Yeah. We can't fix annoying TikTokers on the street, but like we can fix a lot of the other things. And when I think about like, things like crime and homelessness and the school systems, these are all, like, to me, low-hanging fruit problems that can be solved with just a little bit of common sense.
They're man-made problems, right?
Yeah.
Bad policy decisions related to homelessness and housing, related to mental illness on the streets, lack of police, and police officers not being focused on the right things. Right? These are all things that we can fix. And I like that we started about LA being the greatest city in the world, because once we fix all these things, LA can be this incredible, not just magical, but safe and affordable and vibrant place like we know it can and should be.
What's interesting is we were talking about this on the last episode. California now is the 4th largest economy in the world. Record windfall of cash. And it feels like we are just poor allocators of money. And like the fact that like I'm considering sending my kids to private school over public school when we grew up in LA going to public schools. Yep. And I read the headline that we have $98 billion of cash.
Surplus.
I'm like, where's that money going?
It's stuck in a bank account And it could be coming down and help a lot of people. Homeless is a perfect example, right? It's not a resource issue. We keep throwing money at it.
I heard it was like $800,000 a person dedicated to a homeless person.
Yeah, so 10 years ago, 6 years ago, we were promised that they would solve homelessness in 10 years. Literally, they said, we're going to end homelessness. If you give us $1.2 billion, we'll build 10,000 units. It's been 6 years. They built 1,000 units. It's costing.
Why is that?
It is crazy. So if someone said, let's build housing the most expensive and slow way possible, what would you say? Ground up construction, same materials as everyone else, and you're waiting in line with everyone else. And that's what we're doing with homelessness. Instead of treating it like the emergency that it is and treating it innovatively, right? Urgently, tiny homes, modular housing, using city-owned land, and getting things done fast. No, it's slow, cumbersome, and expensive. And there's nonprofits that are making a ton of money corruptly, and everyone that has their hands out. So instead of building housing fast for folks who are homeless, and then building mental hospitals. So basically 2 generations ago, the state of California said, no more state hospitals, no more institutionalizing people. County, you deal with it. But we never gave the money to the county. So as a result, we have a population of Angelinos who are self-medicating on the streets, taking the most dangerous drugs in the history of mankind, fentanyl and opioids and meth, and they're withering away and suffering, and we're just letting them live like that. It's not humane. It's not progressive.
Yeah, which is interesting because LA prides itself as being this progressive place, and we're not actually helping our citizens.
No.
So
Yeah.
I was watching Spectrum News and I saw a Karen Bass interview, and she says that it takes 4 years to have an impact on homelessness. And Caruso is running ads saying in 6 months he can have an impact. And Bass calls him a liar, and Caruso calls her inept. So
Maybe it's actually a year.
Yeah. So let's talk about homelessness in terms of the actual people who are suffering, right? It's not one population. And so in ways they're both wrong. First thing we got to do is stop the flow of people who are going into homelessness. So some of it's economic. People get evicted, lose their jobs. There are people who, are surviving domestic violence. That's the leading cause of homelessness among women, right? Foster care, kids who age out or fall out of it, that's the leading cause of homelessness of people in their 20s.
Wow.
There's an inflow of people to LA. 36% of all people who are homeless in Los Angeles are from outside Los Angeles.
I mean, I would move here if I was homeless.
Yeah, good weather. They're promising to hand you free housing, right? And we're not enforcing really laws on the streets, right? So each of these issues we have to get a handle on, right? The social safety net, we got to get people the help that they need. In terms of once we stop the inflow and the folks that are falling in, what do we do with people on the streets, right? So instead of building brand new construction housing expensively, we need a lot of shelters. Basically what they do in New York, it's different because of the weather there. So no one is rushing to New York to become homeless, but they say everyone who's homeless, we're guaranteeing you shelter. You have a right to shelter if you're a New Yorker and you're homeless. But you don't have a right to live on the streets. You pair those things together. You get people shelter, you say you can't live here, and then you make investments in mental health, we can make a big dent. So some of their ideas make a lot of sense in terms of building a lot of housing fast, but we got to do it much more cost effectively. But there's so many different elements to it. And it's just doing the hard work every single day of getting people indoors, getting them places to go, and then saying, look, you just can't live next to a park anymore, right? That's common sense. You can't live next to a school when you're homeless, right? There's certain places that are just off limits. And I think as a society, most of us will agree that that's not a good place for someone to live.
So, I have stepping back a second, I have a question. Like, you have a family, you seem like you have a nice life. Why the fuck would you want to be a councilman?
So it goes to my story. My family and I moved here as refugees from Iran with nothing, went to public schools.
Yeah.
Went to the Ivy League, came back, started a business. My wife is here watching, and we have 4 little kids. And then just during the pandemic, we just saw the city decline.
Yeah.
More than that, fell apart, right? And then you see the people in charge. There's 15 people in charge of this 4 million person metropolis, this $11 billion budget. Not one of them has any business sector experience. Not one. They've never started a business, ran a business. 3 of the 15 are in federal prison for bribery. They took hookers.
That's 20%.
So let me get to the other 20. So 20%.
This is like a joke.
No, it's like a bad mobster movie. So 20% were bought off. They took hookers, gold bars, Vegas trips, and poker chips, and they're going to federal prison. Another third, 3 of the 15 are racists. We're in a back door. We're carving up our city to screw the black community, basically, and said racist and vile things while they're gerrymandering. And one has resigned. and there's 2 others that should resign. So that's 6 out of 15, right? And then you have a rise of this abolish the police left, get rid of private property, commandeer hotels, no more rents. That's on the rise. And that's not the future of Los Angeles. It's about enterprise, it's about opportunity, it's about safe streets, and it's about taking care of people who need help, but not in a way that will just destroy our city.
So of the remaining 9, how many are the abolish the police?
Yeah, so there are one was just elected, the first abolish the police candidate ever in one district. There are several that are running right now. And I think the future of our city's at risk right now. We need some common sense people. We need to be progressive, but really practical.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't be surprised at the results we've had the last 3 years.
It's our fault. Yeah. We've allowed these people to get elected, get reelected, engage in this corruption while we're busy running our lives, and you guys are running a great business here. We have to be involved. So normally 15% of people vote in an election. We're up to about a third. We got to get that up. People got to pay attention. You got to hold people in office accountable, and we need more diversity. We need more people with different backgrounds who are going to come in and do the right thing.
Why do you think, like, I've been a lifelong liberal. I've never voted for anything but a Democratic candidate in my entire life. I actually voted wrong. I voted for Arnold Schwarzenegger for governor because I thought it was funny. I didn't think it'd actually win, but that was a mistake there. But other than that, like, I've been a liberal person my whole life. As a liberal person my whole life, I don't connect with the party anymore. Right. And I think it's really interesting. Ari here basically thinks I'm Donald Trump in his eyes.
And so did our previous podcast engineer. They thought we were alt-right.
Yeah, we're not alt-right, but they think we're conservative in our views. And I said, I mean, when you're 21 years old or 22, however old he is, he has a very distinct view of the world that's not practical when you have kids and you are trying to figure out where to live for the rest of your life, or you're raising a family and things like that. And I think there's like this weird divide amongst just liberal people in general, where like we're not even aligned. At least with like conservative people, they're so aligned. They're like, no immigrants, abortion, no, go to war, do whatever. At least you're on the same squad.
Yeah.
On our party, there's no alignment in the way we view the world.
And they criticize within the own party, which Republicans never do.
Yeah.
Right. It's like Democrats.
No one ever talks down on Donald Trump on the right, except for what's Liz.
And her career's over.
And then she's gone.
I don't know if we want that, though. That's almost like a strong man taking over the party. I don't think we want that either.
I get that, but I'm just saying, like, to win
and to be effective, because they advance their agenda.
Yeah. So
like, full circle, I said, Sam's coming on the podcast. I'm going to call you out. He goes, oh, Sam's one of those Rick Caruso Democrats. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean? Because I'm voting for Rick Caruso. Yep. He's voting for Rick Caruso. We got to spend time with him personally. And look, at the end of the day, he's putting himself in the best position to win for the position he's running for, right? And after sitting down with him, the way that I see him getting labeled, or even sometimes the way you'll get labeled by, your opponents, is so fucking wrong.
Yeah.
But it's like, why, I don't hear anything you're saying or Rick Caruso saying that is damaging to the city.
I think the pro-choice thing with Caruso is the craziest thing.
Yeah.
He's publicly said he's pro-choice, and they're trying to say he's pro-life.
Yeah.
So to Ari's point about kind of the party changing, right? So in my 20s, I worked for Henry Waxman, who at the time was the liberal lion in Congress. We have clean water, clean air, government reform. They took down the tobacco industry. Legendary. He authored healthcare reform in this country. He was the most liberal member of Congress. I was proud to work for him. But today he would be considered moderate because the left has gone so left and the right has gone so far right. But what's exciting about local government, it's about basic problem solving, right? Making sure our parks and our libraries are clean and safe. People get housing and mental health care. Tenants get help. And I'm a really liberal guy. I'm a workers' rights, tenants' rights attorney, and worked for Democratic elected officials over the years in different ways. But it's about potholes. It's about making sure that our city functions, right?
Yeah, but how do we shift this narrative? to be fair, Ari said he is voting for you.
Yes, I am.
I'll take it.
Sam
Thank
for
you.
LA.
But it's the fact that like there's a group of people that think like this, and even like I'll give you an example. We always joke, if you go to like a group of liberal people, and even Drama, who's on the pod today, he was at a restaurant and we listened to Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
We think he's a pretty moderate guy in the way he views the world. If you mention Joe Rogan in a group of liberal people, they're like, it's like listening to Tucker Carlson.
Right.
And it's not the case at all. It's like,
Yeah.
it's completely different. But like, how do you think that like you shift that narrative? Like, you get elected, you're in office. Like, how do you actually like bring people together?
Yeah. Professionally, I'm a lawyer, I'm a litigator. So I go to war on behalf of my clients. The other thing I do is I'm a mediator. So I've had people in a room who hate each other, who are suing each other, and you find the shared common ground, what they agree on, and just go from there. The other thing is too many politicians spend their time on Twitter. Like they worry about getting enough likes, and they're worried about the angry comments from people, thinking that's the real world. But we know like
That is such a small representative.
yeah, it's very, very small percentage of people are actually on Twitter. Very few of them are actually real folks that matter. The real people are that working mom with 2 jobs and 2 kids and living in a rundown apartment and trying to make ends meet, right? You got to figure out how to deliver for that person, or people, someone who's worried about how their small business on Wilshire, on La Brea, on Fairfax is going to survive because they're getting slammed with regulations, and the city's just not out there to help. So that's what matters. Neighborhoods matter, families. And that's what's exciting about local government is you can allow the national issues to let them go to war, on those national issues. But what's here is who's going to solve problems, who's going to make sure Los Angeles actually functions, and the city. Whether the city is vibrant, whether we have bike lanes, there's going to be a subway station a couple blocks from here, right? In each direction, La Cienega and at Fairfax. I want people to take it, but it has to be clean and safe, and it's not. There's been a ridership plummeting because of the lack of safety.
I took my 2 little kids the other day on the red line, and I was like, all right, we got to get the fuck out.
Yeah, it's not sad. We're making a $10 billion investment in 7 subway stations coming to the mid-city and west side of LA for the first time ever. We can make it the best city in the entire world. LA with a subway station that's clean and safe and vibrant is going to be incredible. And then what's coming is the valley and the west side is getting connected. There's going to be a line up from Van Nuys to Sherman Oaks to Westwood to LAX, right?
Yeah.
Imagine being able to get north, south, east, west. But you know what's happening? 1/3 of all women who've taken the subway, the train, or a bus in LA the last 3 months have been sexually assaulted or sexually harassed.
1/3.
1/3, according to the MTA's own report. And what did the MTA do in response? They eliminated law enforcement from subways, buses, and trains.
I know. I noticed that there was none down there.
Yeah.
I was like,
It's crazy.
Yeah.
They replaced them with mental health professionals and social workers and ambassadors. Great. But if there's someone who's dangerous, you're going to end up having to call LAP or the sheriff anyhow. So why not do it in tandem in a smart way, right?
And the harm would have already been done by the time you call.
Yeah. And you're exposing the city to liability. God forbid someone gets sexually assaulted underground, and because there's no cops or sheriffs around, what's going to happen? You're going to sue the shit out of the city.
Yeah.
yeah, and you're gonna end up costing
$50
more.
million a year, city of LA has to pay out for different liabilities related to police misconduct, trip and falls, just stupid things that could have been averted. Like common sense. You figure out what's leading to liabilities and you address it. And another thing that's happened, this craziness about defunding people with law enforcement. We don't have park rangers in the west side of LA anymore. We don't have library security anymore in the mid-city of LA anymore. Because these politicians, going back to your point, man-made problems are leading to these a result of man-made decisions. We can fix them. We just need some common sense. We need someone who's progressive but practical, and that's why I'm running.
Yeah, I guess who are you running against? It's open seat.
It's an open seat. I'm the outsider with nonprofit business and government experience. I'm running against someone from the county who spent the last 7.5 years on these issues, allowing our things to get every issue to get
Was
worse.
her dad?
The father-in-law held the seat for 40 years.
Yeah, Zev, right?
Yeah. And in the last 7 years, while she was at the county, our homelessness crisis went up 175% under her watch. She works for Sheila Kuehl, the most powerful person in the county of LA, arguably. These things could have gone better. You could have provided more shelters, more mental health services, helping foster kids, women surviving domestic violence. None of that's happening in our part of town in a meaningful way. And people are suffering because of it.
Yeah. And when you think about like your strategy here, is it really just You just have to meet as many people as possible, right? Because like, I think people in general right now are turned off from politics, at least of what we see on television.
Especially with all the racism that we just saw in LA City Council.
Exactly. And you take specifically the positions you're running for has been so controversial in the last month. And then you take, like, I think people are just burnt from this whole political kind of discourse. And like, what is like the strategy? Like, how do you go about it daily?
You know, it's about change, right?
Yeah.
It's about, we're either going to have more of the same because the same people are running, career politicians, their staffers, their family members, or someone from the outside who's actually run a successful business, ran a nonprofit, done good work in government from the outside. There's in every race, there's a really stark choice. And I can't tell you how important this election is all throughout the ballot. And we don't need more taxes to solve our problems. We just need better management of our dollars. We have everything we need. It's the greatest city in the world. We have the most creative, most successful, innovative people. The best and brightest come to Los Angeles, but our leadership has not reflected that. You think our leaders are our best and brightest? They're just musical chairs, career politicians, staffers, hand chosen by those people in the back room who are racist, dividing up our city. So the strategy is people got to vote. People got to actually do their homework, and we have just a couple days left to transform LA. This is our chance, because if you don't vote, you can't complain. Yeah. And 4 years from now, if folks don't come in from the outside to turn things around, the city's gonna be unrecognizable, because they're gonna double down on really bad policies, like spending $1 million to build a single unit of homeless housing, allowing people to suffer on our streets, defunding the police at a time when we need more police officers, but got to make sure they do their job the right way, and then focus them on core police work. So when I talk about police reform, it's about making sure they do their job the right way, narrowing the responsibilities. They're not social workers. They're not mental health professionals. They signed up to deal with guns and gangs. God bless them. Let them deal with those issues. Gun violence is up 50%. In our district, in our part of our district, just right here in the Wilshire division of LAPD, 8 homicides in the last year. We never had more than 1 or 2 before the pandemic. And it's not because of the pandemic. It's because of a lawlessness that's taken root, and not enough police officers, no consequences. We got to get the guns off the streets, and we got to get the police officers to tackle those issues head on.
What is the District 5? So people listening, so they know where it is.
So the 405, 405 that no one likes to cross, is the western border, goes all the way east to effectively the border of Koreatown to western, has the hillsides of Bel Air all the way to Mulholland, and all the way south to Venice Boulevard. So it includes Palms.
Wow.
And it has UCLA and Cedars.
Fuck, it is an important ass district.
Expensive real estate.
Yeah, it is, and it has some of the, and that's one of the issues. So 90024, the neighborhood around UCLA in Westwood, is the most expensive zip code to rent in America outside of New York. So think about those UCLA students or grad students. Think about the nurses and professors who are trying to get to UCLA. They have to drive an hour. 80,000 cars drive through Westwood Boulevard, through the village every day to get to UCLA. That's a huge environmental impact. It's a traffic gridlock. And then it's people who are paying too much for rent as well. So I have a whole housing policy plan that's going to make Westwood this incredibly vibrant place. The subway's coming to Westwood Village. 42% commercial vacancy, meaning 2 out of...
What happened to Westwood? Westwood was so good in the 90s.
It was. When I was a kid, Jerry's Deli, the arcade.
Yeah.
Some of those bones are still great.
Only Dee Murthy still has a line, which is kind of annoying, but everything else
Remember, it used to be a quarter, now it's like $1.50, I think, right? Still one of the best deals in LA. Yeah. But so there's been a confluence of issues in Westwood Village. There's property owners that are keeping things vacant. Neighbors that are kind of part of the challenge of bringing in new restaurants. There's a specific plan that says what kind of signage you can have, how much beer you can sell, what kind of parking you need, how many restaurants of different kinds.
So stupid.
But there's a renaissance. So the rules are finally starting to loosen. I've been advocating for that. Alfred Coffee just came in, Sweet Green, Tender Green, some good brands.
Got all the Iranians opening up businesses.
Yeah, exactly. Neiman and Zad. Yeah. So because they're making a long-term bet that Westwood's going to be this incredibly vibrant place again. Right now it's going through tough times. 42% commercial vacancy rate. 2 out of 5 storefronts are dead. But the subway's coming. Wilshire and Gailey, Wilshire and Westwood is going to be the second busiest subway stop in all of LA when it's ready by 27, 28 by the Olympics. Let's get the housing there. Let's make sure it's clean and safe. Let's make it the most pedestrian friendly. I want to make Westwood Boulevard what Abercrombie is, what Montana is, right? A place that you want to go as a destination. You want to take your kids, right? No one's taking their kids right now to Westwood Village.
It's amazing. Well, I mean, best of luck. Well, obviously you have our vote.
Thank you.
I think it's great to kind of inform people. And I think it's great because there's this perspective people have of politicians. They just get grouped into groups of people and they don't actually listen to a word anyone says. And so you just by de facto vote for these people and you don't actually understand what you just voted for.
Yep.
And I think I remember doing that a lot in my younger years where I'd be like, yeah, I voted for this guy. And I was like, I don't even agree with anything he says. Why did I just vote for this person?
I'd argue that what you described your district, for us personally, it's more important than any race.
Way more. You will have more impact on our life than the president of the United States.
Right.
LA City Council, unlike the cities of New York and Chicago where the mayors control everything, they control the school district, the police, the budget.
We don't even have a mayor.
In LA, we don't have a mayor. And either of the two mayoral candidates will be better than Garcetti. You can take that to the bank.
Yeah.
But the city council has the power. So these 15 people, right? 1/3, 20% racist, 20% corrupt, have the power over our $11 billion budget. They decide what gets built where, decide how we treat our homeless population. They decide whether we defund the police or we improve our police, right? That's where the power is. And this is why the seat is so darn important to all of our lives.
Absolutely. And so if people want to learn more about you, where should they go?
samforla.com, samforla.com. Check out my website. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter as well.
Also, that's just Sam Yebri.
Sam Yebri. Yep. Yebri.
Great.
Amazing, man. Congrats.
Thanks for having me, guys. It was fun.
Get out and vote.
Vote.
Well, I mean, I actually was, Anna just mentioned this. The city council budget, Sam mentioned was $11 billion. Anna asked me, how much was the R&D budget for the iPhone?
$3 billion.
$3 billion. The iPhone was created with $3 billion. Look what we've done with the city with $11 billion.
We've made it worse.
We made it worse. It's unbelievable. I think this is like what we learned during summer of 2020 with all of the police protests and what was happening in police brutality and things of that nature, like how important local politics are. So I know not everyone who listens to this podcast lives in LA. People are spread all over the world, but your local politics actually determines your life.
And no one actually follows it because I feel like I'm pretty well informed and I had no idea how big his district was.
It's insane. It's like
it's the most important parts of LA.
Yeah.
From like a cultural standpoint, what people see on TV, what people come for tourist attractions.
Yeah.
It's this
it's
district.
Hollywood, West Hollywood, it's Westwood, it's Culver City. It's freaking insane. But yeah, look, whatever it is, you got to vote. You got to get out there. Look, next week is election day, next Tuesday. So
but I mean, like you said, it's important for anyone in any city in the country how important local politics is. I mean, if we're burning $11 billion a year on fire here, sure, it's probably less in other cities, but whatever
your city is burning billions.
Yes,
for sure. No matter where you live, your city is torching.
Yeah, and
nobody is like walking around, even like, I talk to people who live in Austin and stuff like that. They're complaining about things. People who live in Miami complain about things.
Yeah.
Everyone's city can improve.
Everyone's city's gotten net worse in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
I think you could say that across the board.
Yeah. Despite even if your city saw an economic bump,
right?
There are some, more macro things your city got faced with that has not improved. All right. Well, let's move on to other news, business news. The Elon Musk takeover of Twitter is Blockbuster.
From a cultural zeitgeist perspective, there's nothing bigger right now.
Nothing bigger right now. And I think the thing that's most mind-blowing is in the speed at which it's happening. So Twitter's basically been like, all intents and purposes, a struggling business for the last decade.
It's always been the thing on Twitter.
Underwhelming performance.
It's like the product that so many people used despite itself.
Yes.
That's been the tagline.
Yeah. And when you think about like, why hasn't things happened fast enough? It is so much about one, leadership, two, bureaucracy, and why startups backed by venture funds come and disrupt the whole fucking world at such lightning speed, right? Elon took over on Friday, canned the leadership. The amount of moves he's making, even I heard when you're logged out, the default page you see on Twitter is now an explore page. Before it was nothing. Simple change. He's like, why are we doing that? Why don't we show people more stuff? He then comes out. You start seeing people polling about blue check mark. Would you pay for this? Would you pay for this? And everyone, of course, with a blue check mark, talk about peak elitism, blue check mark people saying, I will leave this platform. I will not pay for it. And the price got floated around at $20. Now it's at $8. It's $8 and you get to have a verified checkmark system. And Elon Musk tweeted out, Twitter's current lords and peasants system for who has or who doesn't have a blue checkmark is bullshit. And I agree with him on this. And everyone who's complaining is a blue checkmark themselves.
And I saw a line on Twitter, like the same people who are claiming they aren't going to pay for their blue check mark are the same people who said they're going to leave America when Trump was elected.
Yeah. I'm going to take your fucking mark and your passport. Get the fuck out of here.
But it's also funny how he fired the entire C-suite and
now things are happening.
No, not only that, the app hasn't had a hitch. Like the CTO's gone.
Yeah. What was he doing?
What was anyone doing? It's
Nothing.
the same app that it was when they were all...
That just tell you how many people Google should fire.
Yeah, Google probably fired 30-40%.
75%. What are they doing? So let's talk. For $8 a month, you get priority and replies, mentions and search, half as many ads, the ability to post long video and audio, ad-free articles for select publishers, and a blue check mark. Are you going to sign up for this?
But is it for people who already have it, or this is how you
Anybody.
get one? Oh, I'm 100% signing up.
Why wouldn't you sign up? You're a fucking loser if you can't afford $8 a month. It'll be a status thing. Yeah. You have an iPhone? What are you having? You have no blue check mark and an Android phone?
Yeah, I think...
Is that what you're walking around?
If you think about it, like they did the simple math, like how much do you make on an average user on ads?
Do you think 1 million people sign up?
1 million. They have 250 million, I think, monthly active users.
Who do you like? Why wouldn't you sign up?
So it's great because
if you run
breaks the barriers of all the people who do have blue check marks. We know it was pay to play in the beginning.
Yeah, of course. Get me into Bootsies and you can have a blue check mark.
Brian still doesn't have one, right?
No, he doesn't. He's not even on Twitter.
No, but on Instagram.
yeah. Why does he have a blue check mark?
No, he doesn't.
Brian does it?
No, that's the running joke.
Oh, Terj does.
Okay.
I mean, I have it.
But it was pay to play. We know that.
Yeah.
We know so many people that just had hustles on how they got their...
So like...
Oh, sorry. Brian does have it. I apologize, Brian.
Yeah.
For a while, he didn't.
Okay. So he has a blue check mark. But the point is that like, it is ridiculous that it's just like weird. No one can get verified unless you're just bona fide superstar.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that? And by the way, I've said this 5 years ago on this podcast. We need to have an internet verification ID system to hold people accountable. If you're a verified user on the internet, guess what? You're not going to talk this reckless.
Think about it. This is a transformational thing for the app in terms of like getting rid of bots, getting rid of like... Because if you have a blue check mark, you're the top of the replies. Yeah. So it's not the bots.
Yeah.
And it cleans up the app so much.
Yeah.
And what do you make that decision in 48 hours?
48 hours. And there's rumor about bringing back Vine. And everyone's like, oh, Vine, Vine's not going to work. What do you think TikTok is? TikTok is just a better version of Vine. I think if you put resources behind Vine, and the FCC commissioner, one of them today, one of 5 people said we should ban TikTok. If it gets banned, wouldn't it be nice to have Vine ready to go?
I think TikTok at this point, it's inevitable it gets banned.
Yeah.
Whether it happens in 12 months, 24 months.
It could get banned, and then they could find a way to bring it back. Well, they'll, sell the company or rebring the servers have to be based in America or whatever. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets banned and it comes back, but
it's trending towards it's getting banned.
I mean, Meta stock was up for the first time in a year because there was a shot TikTok to get banned. And so I just look at like what's happening at Twitter. Doge is up because they know that shit's going to get integrated somehow. Binance
He tweeted a dog.
Yeah, and Binance CEO came out and said, I think Twitter should, accept multiple currencies. Everyone's it's pandering to him and saying, look, we want to be a part of this revolution. It's going to happen whether you like it or not. If you want to be a little bitch and leave the platform and not
no one's leaving.
Yeah, where can you go? If you're a journalist, they're like, journalists can't afford. If you cannot afford $8 a month to be on Twitter, you are the worst journalist ever.
And that means
you suck at your job.
And that means you have no faith in your own content.
Yes, you
because
suck.
You need to amplify yourself in order to get bigger. You have to invest in yourself.
It's like an athlete saying, I'm never investing in hydration.
Yeah.
It's a vital tool for your job. And you're not going to pay $8? And by the way, they're going to go to New York Times and be like, we're going to need $200,000 a month from you if you want all your writers. Enterprise blue check.
Twitter's going to be a home run.
Yeah,
business.
he's going to turn it around.
Yeah.
I don't know why people would leave. There's nowhere to go for this type of content.
So I think he's going to turn around so quickly because he's so famous and people just want to be part of the Elon experience. But it's also like something that everyone who's running their own business or organization.
How quickly you can change.
Yes. How quickly you can make decisions and change. Because he's doing it at a $54 billion company or $44 billion, sorry.
Yeah.
And
lightning change.
Yeah. And you think about how many companies fail because they didn't make changes and they just kept thinking legacy was the right way. And he's doing decisions left, right, and center.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the big part of it is the real lesson for all of us, exactly like you're saying, is that you can make changes. You can make changes quick. And guess what? When you make a change, because I know some of this will be a TikTok clip, but I want this to be in the TikTok clip. When you make a change, people are not going to like change. They're always going to get upset about change. You have to let it play its course out and see what happens. And people in technology, specifically CEOs in technology, are okay with failing and then pivoting. Yeah. They're okay with it. He could be dead wrong about the $8, the blue check thing. And he could say, you know what? Fuck it. It's free. Or fuck it. It's $20 now. I don't know. He could change his mind. But the point is you got to try.
Yeah.
When your business is stagnant, you got to try different things.
So I know Facebook and Meta is not in favor in the news right now. But if you remember when Facebook launched, every little change that they did to the feed, everyone criticized. Yeah. They're like, oh, this is going to fail. I don't want to use Facebook anymore. Yeah. And guess what happened? They had the greatest 10-year run of any social media company.
You have to ignore the mob when you're running these types of businesses. And I think the thing about the blue checkmark thing that's comical to me is who is commenting that they'll never pay for this? People with blue checkmarks.
Yes.
So you're going to get left out of the conversation now? Because guess what? Your reply is at the bottom. Guess where my reply is going to be? At the motherfucking top.
Yeah.
If I'm a young person, the best investment, if I want to be a writer, I want to be a thought leader, I want to be a leader in my space, go get the damn blue check. It's $8 and you are now going to get served. Your content's going to get served up.
You're on the same playing field.
Yes, that's fair.
Because right now, if you look at your Twitter feed, it's mostly blue check marks.
Considering how influential I am, to have 9,000 Twitter followers is a joke.
Your $8 is going to go a long way.
Yeah, I'll probably jump to 20,000 in the next month. Watch. Yeah. I'm talking all kinds of shit with my blue check. Come get me. It's very irritating to see the reaction. It's actually
But it's the fake mob. It's what we talked about in the interview. Like how you can't listen to the fake mob.
Well, Elon doesn't listen to the mob.
No, he is the mob.
He is the mob. And what's interesting is you briefly touched on this, that Jason Calacanis, Sriram, and David Sachs are kind of like the inner circle.
They're like the masterminds right now
of Twitter. And I know people made a lot of jokes about, oh, you have the All In podcast running it. I mean, to be fair, these people are very fucking smart.
Yep.
All of them are very smart. They have a very distinct perspective about technology. You may not like them personally, but they are smart. Elon's putting the smartest people in the room. Why not? I mean, isn't Sriram like OG Facebook? Like change the feed, like genius dude. Snapchat, he was at Twitter. So he has a very clear understanding of what worked and didn't work. I think like it, and I think Jason Calacanis is a great fit because he's a liberal person. And I think he's going to hold anything that feels like it's going to right to Elon accountable. Like, I don't think he's just going to, he's got a big mouth. He's not going to just be like, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, he's got a top 30 podcast.
Exactly. And so I think he will hold Elon accountable. And that's what you want. Elon's bringing people that I think are not his yes men. Like, I think they'll challenge him. I don't think they're just going to accept. They got nothing to lose and got nothing to gain.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's fascinating how it's evolving so quickly.
Yeah, what I would like to see how it all plays out with like the thought leaders that are like basically talking down on Twitter right now. Like, where are you going?
For written content, nowhere. It's bigger than any written platform in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, it is the voice of the world, right? It's like there's no question about it.
Just Putin just go and sign up for $8. Just kidding.
Does Elon let him on? That's the other thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty interesting. I mean, I think $1 million's light for $8.
I think that's how you scale
I think
it.
every business automatically does it.
You have to.
Right? If you're a business on Twitter, you'd be stupid. If I'm a consumer and I go to this brand and I can't afford $8, why would I buy from you?
I mean, you've obviously run so many ads throughout all the businesses, and nothing's ever worked on Twitter.
No.
So this is the first step towards making
it gives you a shot at organic content.
Mm-hmm. Because that's pretty much gone, which is why TikTok's so big. Is TikTok's the only place where an organic piece of content can go viral. It's virtually impossible on any other platform.
Yeah, this is exciting. I'm excited for Twitter now. I never looked at Twitter as a good business.
I was the only one that's been a super user on Twitter since its inception.
Yeah, you always liked it. I check it every day. I just found it to be just not as good of a product.
Yeah. And
it was like such an innovative product when it launched. It was so like mind blowing. Oh my God, everyone all over the world can talk and reach. And then people just, I don't know why they don't innovate. Like, and that's the one thing Mark Zuckerberg does. He'll blow his shit up.
Yeah. And we're going to find out what's going to happen.
Yeah. All right. This is super exciting. Anything else on the Twitter?
I think that's it. And I think the FCC speaking on the TikTok ban it's finally getting to the mainstream of like legislation that now like senators who've never heard of TikTok are gonna be like, oh, what's this TikTok? Oh, it's owned by China. And they're going to start like drawing the lines and connecting dots. And I think you're going to see this happen pretty quickly. I mean, Joe Rogan talks about it on every single episode, and he's the biggest media outlet that TikTok is Chinese spyware.
Yeah.
So just by him saying it every episode, reaching 20 million people 3 times a week.
The one person that can't say anything is Elon, because he does too much business in China.
Yeah, he can't.
He has to kind of...
And now they're a competitor, so he can hide behind that.
Yeah. But he can't speak on it.
No, Tesla needs to sell in China.
Yeah, it's too big of a business. But yeah, I mean, look, I think Elon Musk coming into the space will definitely give... I just even see like moderate product changes in Twitter already that I like. Like, I just see little things. Even just all the fact checking it's not just even just questioning, hey, please read this content, some of this information. They literally have a counter article of if some politician posted something, they'll be like, actually, this is what's actually happening.
Right.
So they're going out of the way. And even their moderation head, he came out and started talking about how like there was a spike the day Elon took over in like kind of hateful terms, and how that's plummeted already. They've removed the accounts and how they're policing it aggressively. I don't think Elon wants that. He doesn't want that on his watch either. Nobody wants that. I think people think he's like wanting a banana republic. That's not what he wants.
Yeah, and I think they've all tweeted that spike has been rectified pretty quickly, like you just said. So I don't know. It's all positive in the first 48 hours on Twitter.
Yeah. All right. So moving into other business news, I think the thing that we were talking about with our good friend Michael Katz was Airbnb. We're talking about travel. And we said that, do we think that they were beat earnings? I'm sure they had an insane last 2 years and the last quarter, and it continues to be. Airbnb books record revenue as travel demand remains strong.
Yep.
But the one thing I said was, I think guidance is going to be soft. And I think that because Airbnb is not the cheapest option anymore. The cheapest option is stay with someone right? And maybe a hotel in some cases. And I think people want to travel. They want to go to the places, but what they'll sacrifice is where they stay. Like for me personally, I will stay in the shittiest hotel to go to the city I want to go to. I think that's more important to me than the hotel I stay in. Because reality is, no matter where you go, your hotel, the likelihood of you spending a lot of time in the hotel, unless you're going like a staycation, is not meaningful. And I think most people realize that. And Airbnb is not a cheap option anymore, especially when you look at prices plus fees. It's comparable to a hotel in many cases.
Yeah.
Or sometimes
definitely
more.
once the plus comes in.
Yeah. Look, if you're a group of 6 people, you could probably justify staying on an Airbnb cheaper than any hotel. But if you're 2 people, I don't know if Airbnb is that good of a deal anymore.
Definitely in a major city, probably not.
Yeah. And so they saw record revenue, record bookings, but they guided soft on the future. And I think that's just it's a function of like, I think the macro economy that like, one, I think a lot of the larger companies are demanding people back in the office. 2, I think this fantasy land of not just living this nomadic lifestyle is not financially sustainable. Even if you could pull it off because you're remote work, with the rising costs of everything, it's pretty hard to do what everyone did in 2020.
Yeah, and I think this also goes to what we've been saying, how travel through the end of the year is going to be great.
Yeah.
And then if it's falling off a cliff next year.
Yeah.
It has to, because those trips haven't been booked yet.
No. Like next summer has not been booked yet.
No. Or spring.
Yeah.
And
spring could be.
With what interest rates are doing to the economy real time, you got to imagine people are going to rethink travel next year.
Speaking of interest rates, we have a big meeting. Tomorrow. Fed is going to announce, obviously, a rate hike. JP Morgan came out yesterday, and I don't even know what the purpose of this note was. JP Morgan came out and said that if the Fed raises 50 basis points instead of 75 basis points, the market would rally 10% in one day. Where the hell did they think only 50 basis point is going to come into fruition?
So, I mean, I think they're just
praying.
Yeah, praying. They're praying for.
They're throwing a lob because
they're trying to lobby it, but 75 is priced in.
Yeah.
So just expect 75 basis points. If it goes,
it's what they say after that. That's really what matters.
Yeah, it's the language. And the terms are hawkish or dovish. So hawkish means they're going to be more aggressive. Dovish is they're going to be less aggressive. So the commentary is going to be what you have to look at. And you'll know really quickly by like noon Pacific time what the economy thinks of whatever the Fed says.
I mean, I think you'll know in minutes, right? Like,
well, the notes come out and then he starts speaking. Once he starts speaking is when the markets go left, or right, down, center.
Yeah, and I think the interesting thing is everyone wants the market to go up, right?
Yeah,
So Lloyd Blankfein, which is he's former head of Goldman Sachs.
Yeah, he's not. It's David Solomon, the DJ.
David Solomon. So yeah, the DJ is the head. The Lloyd Blankfein came out. I saw him on Twitter, and he said, "You know, I know everyone's like basically down on the economy and the markets, but we are few things away from things turning around." And he used, which we've talked about a lot. One is some sort of settlement on the Russia-Ukraine situation. Fed pivot, they come out and say, we're going to stop raising rates at the same pace. And then this is something that's happened in the last 24 hours is apparently the rumor in China is there is a team that is focusing on what does reopen look like, and that they would end the lockdowns for COVID because they're now feeling it from their economy. So people think by March of next year, they'll be fully reopened and back to normal.
So
if all of those things happen, then
that's the bull case for the market. But with the China thing, just real quickly, yesterday at Shanghai Disneyland, you couldn't get out of the park unless you tested positive or negative because they found like 10 cases. So they've trapped everyone in the park.
That's insane. Yeah, I mean, that's how make you want to go to Disneyland if you live in China. Like, oh, great, I'm stuck in small world for the next 3 weeks.
Some people probably wouldn't be mad at that.
Psychos.
But yeah, I mean, those are all interesting. And here's the only thing, like the bull case for at least the next week. If the Fed says something that tanks the market 10, 15%, that's impacting midterms next week.
Yeah.
Directly.
Yeah. You might go to the bell and be like, you know what? Get these guys out of here.
Right. So, I mean, do they have the balls to do that, or do they care?
I don't think they care. Their job is not to care about elections.
I know, but secretly...
Biden apparently went on public record today saying...
Fed pivot.
Yeah, the Fed needs to pivot.
You have to, midterms.
Yeah.
I mean, if the Fed says something that tanks the market tomorrow, like Democrats are already in trouble, they are just screwed.
They're toast. But a 10% rally, go blue.
Go blue, exactly. But
10% rally, everyone's feeling good.
Mm-hmm. So it'll be another day every month.
Yeah,
we have to pay attention to.
It's wild. All right, we're gonna move into some pop culture. Some very, very sad news. Waking up this morning on Twitter, I read that Migos member Takeoff was killed at 28 at a Houston bowling alley for a private event. It was reported that him and his uncle Quavo, if you didn't know, his uncle was Quavo, the other member of Migos, were playing dice, turned into some sort of argument. Guns were pulled out, and he was killed. There's all kinds of rumors on what exactly happened, so we don't know exactly what's happened. But man, what the fuck is going on in rap? It's so like the genre is being killed off. Someone posted all of the rap artists that have died in the last couple of years. It's literally like taking, the NBA draft class from 3 years ago and they're all dead.
Yeah.
Which, would kill a sport, right? And that's what I feel like is happening is like this, like the most important, most powerful genre of music of the last 25 years has basically, it's gone.
Yeah.
Like there's nobody that actually can even be an artist because they're killing each other.
They're killing each other, and I think it's becoming just less attractive to be part of that culture.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because hip hop, from a consumer perspective, there's been no bigger impact on the consumer globally than hip hop music, rap music.
It's the most influential music genre ever, by far. I don't think that you can even make an argument that rock and roll never had the influence.
It crossed races and countries, across everything.
And I just don't like I don't see a world where this can continue and the genre could still have the same power and influence, right? Because now it's just fucking sad.
Yeah, no, it's sad. And it's just like, even with the Migos, they're like insanely successful, but they're putting themselves in a position where this could happen, which is what's crazy.
Which one is like, dude, you can't even go to a private party. Like, this is a private event. It wasn't like some public, like they're not just going to the bowling alley, right? Like they're going to a private event. And I just think that like, it's pretty tough if you're in the genre to like, how do you know, I think Designer, the artist, was like, I'm done with rap. Like, I can't deal with this shit anymore.
Yeah.
I have to say, like, the amount of insensitivity of people in comments is unbelievable.
I didn't see.
It's just disgusting the way people comment on this type of topic. Like, they show not even a moment of like remorse or sadness or like just a self-awareness that this is like someone's kid, someone's brother, someone's friend. And it's just like, it's wild.
Yeah.
Like the lack of empathy when it comes to death in America is pretty sad.
And I can't believe he was only 28. That was shocking to me. I had no
he's been
idea.
around 10 years.
I know. He's been famous his entire adulthood.
Yeah. It's really sad. I just like, I mean, we know so many people in music, specifically in rap, know a ton of people. I mean, like, what do you do?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't change behaviors.
No, and I think I know what you're referencing in the comments, and it's almost like glorifying this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Which is it furthers the feedback loop.
Yeah, it's not just glorifying, it's just more of like the way that people talk and act, and it's disgusting. It's really disgusting. All right, well, it's RIP Takeoff. Dude, I can't even imagine like Quavo, Offset. These guys have all known each other probably their whole life. I mean, Quavo definitely, they're related. I mean, think about how much time they've spent with each other. Oh my God.
Like, it's crazy.
It's devastating. On to some more positive, news and music. Taylor Swift, we talked about her. She makes history. She has taken over the entire US top 10 on Billboard.
So when I first saw it, I thought it was a meme.
Yeah.
I was like, this can't be real.
Yeah.
Like, it's just some Swifties that like, we have all top 10.
Yeah.
And then I clicked on Billboard's account and they posted it.
The other really interesting thing, she obviously is breaking every record. It's just like bonkers, like how well this album is doing. She released her dates for her tour for next year. She priced the tickets shockingly affordable. $49 starting price.
Wow.
And there was a lot of backlash because I think Beyonce had launched her tour and the prices were substantially higher. And I think like as an artist, you have to have some stuff. Bruce Springsteen got a lot of backlash too. I think some of his tickets were like $5,000 and he got a lot of backlash around that.
Mm-hmm.
I think like given the climate, you even as an artist should be a little self-aware of like bankrupting your fan is not a great idea.
Right.
Like you got to price your product to the times. I'm sure there's a lot of upsells once you get to the Swiftie concert. You could buy merch. You could probably get some more access. You could do all those things, but at least let people get in the door.
Yeah. No, I think she also connects with her fan in a different way than I think most mega stars, because she's the relatable, person that all these people worship.
Yeah.
And I can't believe that all top 10 songs are her.
Yeah.
Does that mean there just no other music's been released? Like,
yeah, well, look, and to be fair, this is a function of rap being irrelevant right now.
Right.
Like the top songs on Spotify right now, outside of her, is a Sam Smith song. Number 7 is Monster Mash, fresh off of Halloween, which was like a big Halloween song. Number 11 is the only other non-Taylor Swift song. That's another Halloween song. Ghostbusters, and then there's Steve Lacy, Bad Habit, who's been number 1 for weeks.
And I'm sure Bad Bunny is somewhere around there.
He's like 36. Right? Like even Bad Bunny, like there's on the top 50 right now, there's not a rap song. There's Juice WRLD if you consider him rap.
And he's
a little Uzi Vert. Sorry.
That's
Lil Uzi.
crazy.
Lil Uzi is the only rap song on the top 50 right now.
That is wild. So I mean, that's got to affect everything.
Sorry,
Like,
there's a Drake song too. There's always a Drake song.
but that affects like what DJs are going to be playing in clubs.
Well, no, there's still popular rap songs. It is just not the most popular music in the country right this second, right? Like you're not going to a nightclub and hearing Taylor Swift. You're just not.
No, but I mean, it could be other things. I was listening to a podcast that was talking about TikTok and music and affecting how stars are created. And so couple crazy stats, 100,000 songs a day are uploaded to streaming, to like whatever you name it, Spotify, SoundCloud, wherever. And if you look at charting, it was every year, the number of new artists that break in the top 10 is falling off a cliff for the last decade. And it was interesting points that I didn't really think about. It was like, we're now just in an algorithmic world where everyone's kind of branched out in their own niche and they get fed their niche music. So it's really hard to aggregate and build a new star.
Mm-hmm.
And the incumbents like Taylor Swift, Drake, Beyonce now just have a monopoly on it, because even the new artists, like Steve Lacy's a new artist, but like that's it's
very rare. The rest of the list is all very well-known artists.
Exactly. So the incumbents now have like a complete monopoly on like scaled music. And even on TikTok, the songs that go viral, you don't see the star, you see kids dancing.
Yeah.
So you can't, even if you're a new song that goes viral, no one knows who that is.
Yeah.
That was fascinating.
That is fascinating. It's wild. Music is a crazy, crazy world right now. And you could still build a humongous fan base, still monetize it and there's obviously so many different genres of music that are making a ton of money.
Yep.
I like to look at the Spotify top 50 as just like a pulse of what, like this summer was just basically only Bad Bunny on that list.
Yeah.
And now it's Taylor Swift. There's a Drake album coming out and I think it got pushed. They're saying because of COVID or something like that. I mean, no, you don't want to go against this and get to number 2. You're waiting. You can't, everyone has to push their album back until this slows down.
Absolutely. Because Drake can't release and not be number 1.
Oh, third week Taylor Swift and B2. That'd be terrible for him.
Yeah, that'd be bad. Especially because everyone's waiting for the next hit.
Yeah.
For Drake.
Yeah. But this is like a freight train. So you got to just stay out of the way.
Yeah, probably 2 months.
It could last.
It's all 10 songs?
Yeah. It's pretty fascinating. All right. We're going to end on some scary news. Saudi Arabia is informed the U.S. that they are on high alert after a warning that there is an imminent attack from Iran on Saudi Arabia. That's batshit crazy if that happens.
Yeah, so this is what's being interpreted as a wag the dog. Or is it wag the dog? Is it wag the dog?
Yeah, wag the dog.
Wag
this
the
is
dog.
for the election.
Yeah, no, it's for... No. Because all the protests are growing so big in Iran that they're trying to distract everyone from like the civil unrest in the country, and then try to, get everyone together against this like big bad enemy, which they're claiming is Saudi. Is that accurate, Ari?
Yeah, it's not going to work though.
Okay.
Yeah, those protests in Iran have gotten way too big and way too serious, where there's no changing the conversation in there, especially because they already started like prosecuting 1,000 people at a time in Iran for protesting. So it's just getting crazier and crazier.
Yeah. So, well, there you go. I mean, so for those that don't know, what was the catalyst? There was a woman that was arrested.
Masha Amini.
Yeah.
She was visiting the capital of Tehran. The morality police basically get her attention and call her over and berate her for not having her hijab on completely. She ends up going to prison, getting beat up. passing away in the hospital.
Yeah.
And that is the thing that ignited all the protests.
Yeah, and it's obviously ignited protests all over the world.
Yeah.
And so if you look at Iran pre 1980, it was a very different country.
Yeah. Pre-79, pre-revolution, it was blossoming, and it was also a Western ally. Like
Yeah.
the United States was very tight with Iran. The CIA and the British kind of came in, and they were like, we want that oil. And so revolution.
And now, 40 years later, it looks like there's
May happen
momentum.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there are a lot of people over the Islamic government there.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tyrannical government.
Yeah.
So those aren't easy to overthrow, but it looks like they're pretty resilient.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens with this, but I mean, even if the thought of Iran even making an attack on Saudi Arabia, it is fucking terrible for the world.
Between Taiwan, Ukraine, Russia,
Yeah.
worst case scenario, we're all dead in like a couple months.
So we're not worried about the markets.
We might
Not
not
worried
need
about
to
the Fed. All right. Well, anything else?
No, I think that's it. Happy Fed Day.
Happy Fed Day, tell your local Fed to not raise interest rates so that we get crushed to the ground. I'm optimist. I'm going to say good news comes out. They're going to raise their rates, but they're going to say, you know what? We see you guys. You guys are all struggling. I'm going to help you out.
Yeah. Let's hope you're right.
All right. We'll find out. 24 hours. All right, everyone. We'll see you back here on Thursday. Get out there and vote. It's important. Let's do it.